I guess a beautiful day wherever you are. Here at the M4S studios in the heart of Lagos, we decided to corner one of the biggest fishes in the annals of Nigerian sports, the legendary ex-international. We call him the mathematical Segun Odegbami. And of course, he didn't prepare for this, but we call you the mastermind.
You don't have to be prepared for such a beautiful thing that I've seen, this afternoon. You have a beautiful studio, the latest technology in the broadcast industry. Truly fascinating stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And that is when you are ready to do world-class things, you have to do it and do it at the right way. But a quick check. Let's just look at a casual look at Nigerian sports in the last few years.
How we must look at it in context, in
terms of
relation
results,
to something.
Goals.
Yes.
Super Eagles are there. They've been battling to qualify. They're not out there. But what are your thoughts on that?
It is not. The state of sports in Nigeria is not a reflection of where we should be, where we deserve to be, where we ought to be. Because this is a country that was touted many, many years ago as one that should be the mecca of some sports. Football, table tennis from the days of Nduka Odizo, basketball, when you look at the legion of basketball players we have in the NBA, track and field, when you look at our history and our past, but that we are still where we are, struggling for a position somewhere, not at the top of the ladder, but somewhere at the bottom of it, then that speaks that we haven't gotten it right at all. We have wasted all the opportunities that we have. We haven't developed our basic infrastructure. The grassroots are not developed. Personnel is almost zot. But all of it.
All of it, yeah.
But still, in the midst of all of this darkness, you still see glimpses of those possibilities. We keep achieving bits and pieces here and there,
Yeah, but also let's look at it from a different... A lot of people say most of our talents have been accidental discharge. I wouldn't say you are not accidental discharge. Okocha, Kanu, that there was no structure, there was no real planning, but they just emerged.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
You see, when you trace our history from where we started, particularly after the Civil War, we had a true developmental plan, and it was running. It ran for almost 20 years. And you could see the progression from zero to becoming one of the best on the continent of Africa. We had facilities. We were doing events, major international events. We hosted the All Africa Games. We were hosting the Ghana-Nigeria stuff. We did the ECOWAS Games. So many things we imagined in terms of games. And some of the facilities that you needed to not just do the events, but to develop. We had the National Stadium in Surulere that had all the facilities. We set up a National Institute for Sports, tailored along the German Institute for Sports. We had the personnel who were trained, and so on and so on. And we had coaches. We had some of the best coaches in the world. If you want to be the best in the world, hire the best in the world. We had Lee Evans, who came here, who was the best middle, sprints in terms of 400-meter runner in the world. He was a coach here. We had Ron Davis. He was a coach here. We had the Achimon, world boxing heavyweight champion, who was a coach here. We had those coaches that could inspire for you to be the best. And we were on course for being the best until politics crept in and they weeded out all the visionaries, those that established sports in this country. They weeded them out. Politicians took over, and then the derailment started and has lasted
for a very long time then.
So what you saw of our generation was the beginning. What you saw of the JJ or coaches in terms of football, their own generation, was the product of a beginning that was truncated, but you still had remnants of it. What we have now is zero here in the country, but we are being developed by our foreign forays into foreign climbs and so on. We go to America to develop our athletes. Our basketballers are developed in America. Our footballers are developed in Europe, and so on and so forth. But here, we don't have that developmental structures.
Let me just, let me get
programs.
you back. We have the National Sports Commission who has just come back. A lot of people talk about the years of Babayo Shehu and a couple of them who ran the Sports Commission. Now we have a commission led by Shehu and Olokpade. Do you think they can rekindle those great memories? Do they have what it takes? And do we need extra funding to be able to achieve some of this?
For funding, I think we have good funding. For the first time, from what we hear, what we have read, this government has injected a lot of funds into sports through the National Sports Commission. And we have two young, energetic, very visionary men running the National Sports Commission. And their records speak up to a certain extent. But we haven't seen their products yet. We are all hoping and expectant. But I think that what they need to do, which still surprises me, is that they have not established a board for the National Sports Commission where they could tap into the human resources that are available in the country. You put them together in that board to support what they know. Because if you look between Shehu and Olopade, none of them was at the foundation, where the vision for sports development in Nigeria was created. They were not there. So, but they have come up with their own vision, which they are driving, to the best of their ability. But it has to stand on a certain foundation, which they could get from array of human capacity that we have, which is available.
Yeah.
But you see, they haven't set up that board yet that could represent different parts of the country, different stakeholders in the industry, and put together those resources to shape that future. Between the two of them, it's going to be very, very hard. That's my thought on it.
Yeah, but again, we all have to give them the necessary support, and hopefully they will take us to the next level. Good to also realize that after playing football, you've done business. You also set up a media outfit.
I've not done business. I'm not a businessman.
You're a business of sports.
No, I'm not a businessman. No. I've established institutions. I have a radio station, which is okay.
Which is a business of sports.
Let me tell you what Tony Akiotu told me. Let me tell you what Tony Akiotu told me. He says, if that's the worst place to go into a business in media for. If you go into radio, and after 3 years, today is the 3rd anniversary, after 3 years, I can confirm that this is the most difficult period I've gone through. This is the most difficult area in the media that I've gone through. And although it's been exciting, but in terms of business, I can't count it as business. I don't see a future where, you could actually make money, profit from radio. But you see, it gives you opportunities that you would ordinarily not have. It gives you experiences that you cannot buy in the marketplace. So in that context, yes. I run a school. I own a school and I run it. It's a sports academy. It's definitely the biggest in Nigeria. And it's not profit. It's not for profit.
It's not profit-oriented.
It's not for profit.
Back, more or less.
So the things I do, my investment in other media are not business. I'm not a businessman. If I was a businessman, I'd be as rich as you.
Oh. Don't give me a heart attack. I've remained a journalist and a media man all my life. I've been earning salary. But let's talk about some of our legends that have passed. Christian Chukwu is the latest, I think, amongst your generation of players. And again, I must also give credits to Chief Otedola, who also, after your push, also helped. We must not forget those who give their widow's mite to causes like this. How did you take the news of his passing?
Of course, very, very painful. And a reminder that, of our mortality generally, that is a matter of turn by turn. But the worrisome thing is that, in my own estimation, we are not those of us in sports are not those who should be listed amongst victims of certain illnesses, By virtue of being in sport, you are related to exercise. You are related to certain disciplines. You know, things that you must eat well, you sleep well, you exercise, you do things like that. So we should not be seen as victims of non-communicable diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, and stuff like that. You know, but what we find is an alarming rate now. The whole place is littered with stories of athletes dying young. Muda Lawal died at 30-something. Rashidi Yekini at 40-something. And a whole list. Okwaraji died on the field. And up till now, in the past 4 months, 5 have gone. And it is Chukwu in his early 70s. Chukwu led that group. They have gone. Peter Rufai at 61. That's not the age where these athletes should be going. And it appears that that is what is happening. So my interest is that we must do something, research. It's not about welfare now. To do research, why is this happening? Of our team, over half now are gone. Of the 1994 team, about 6 of them are gone. You know, just like that. And you hear that of football. What is happening in other sports could also alarm you if you find out. So we have to find out what the challenge really is. But one that we know of is that the system, the country that has not put in place, you know, schemes and programs to take care of athletes after their careers. We haven't put that in place. So a lot of us suffer, you know, and we suffer from so many things that could now lead to these debilitating illnesses that we face. You know, like high blood pressure, for example, is about the worries. You don't have a job. You don't have anything to guide you into the future after your career. No counseling, no nothing. You are promised a house in 1994, 31 years after. They haven't delivered. You know, all of those things are problematic. So, I don't know. It's very worrisome.
So,
but
are we going to look at a lifestyle change for some of these athletes? Or a proper grooming? Because if you look at it, a footballer's average span is about 10 to 15 years.
Yes.
Because you start pretty early. And so what happens at the end is a major issue. What career can they go into? Some will go into coaching. Some will go into academia if they have what it takes. But really, maybe part of their contract is also to find out, as a club, I've engaged you, what can I do for you after you've finished serving me? Because it's just in 5-10 years, injury, everything can happen.
You see, it is a lack of understanding and appreciation of sport itself. You see, a lot of people just diminish what sports can do and reduce it to, as you said, when you finish, you become a coach or you become an administrator on sport. And that's all. The world of sport, the planet of sports covers everything.
Every dynamics, yeah.
It covers everything. It is culture, it is finance, it is agriculture, it is town planning, it is engineering, it is merchandising, it is the media, it is everything when you really look at it. But it takes knowledge, it takes information, you know, for you to see all those opportunities and direct the young generation into them, which is my interest now, because I find that I am alone in this planet of understanding. And the more I scream and talk, it appears people are not, they don't seem to understand it. But you can do so many things. You know, in health, well, so many things you can do in health. Look, I went to Kenya, and they were discussing the modernization of the city of Mombasa. And they invited town planners and all that. And then they invited me to come. And I was, what have I got to do with modernization of a city? But until I got there, did I realize that as a former athlete, I had a substantial role to play in shaping facilities within the city that sportsmen can use. And not just sportsmen, even for the welfare, well-being, leisure of the citizens, they needed a sports expert to come and guide them into those things. That's why you go to a city like London, you find bicycle lanes, running lanes. This is there. This, you know, all of those parks are there, and so the same thing in Kenya. You know, so everywhere becomes a field, a stage where those of you involved in sports can become relevant. In education, in the media. But if the field of the media for sportsmen
It's
is
massive,
bigger,
actually.
it's even bigger than going into coaching and all of those things. So it is just a matter of information and knowledge. Our athletes, our young people who are going into different sports, the world is a huge stage where they can all just, it will absorb them.
Like they
if
say,
only they know how.
It's a tabula rasa, as they will
What
say.
language is that?
It's open.
Okay.
It's a blanket. You can just fill in your own space and get in there. Of course, I'm speaking to the legendary Segun Odegbami, who was recently made a honorary doctorate degree for one of the top institutes. And apart from that, he has also contributed immensely, not just in football, in athletics. One of our first gold medals in athletics, actually, he was one of the major enablers that delivered that gold for us. We may actually be forgetting that he has done tremendously well in the forays of sports. But one area I want to look at is the Super Eagles. A lot of Nigerians are worried. Can we still make it? Can we still nick something out of the Super Eagles? That's the issue. What do you think? There is still a little chance, of course, but
it's hope. It's just hope. It's not substance.
Is this a teen hope?
Yeah, you should know.
Hope
no, the truth is that our chances are slim.
Yeah.
When you look at the results and you look at the matches we have to play, how we have to play, the scores we have to, the things we have to score, depending on how others play and so on, our chances are very slim. It's not an impossible situation for us to win, but it is going to be very difficult. The path already is difficult, but with a little bit of luck, we may be able to do it, which is what we are hoping for. We are hoping that our team will just come together at the right time and we can win our games. The rest of our games we can win, and hope that one will stumble somewhere and then we will find ourselves in USA in 2026.
This has always been the case. We've been battling this forever. I remember the last AFCON. There was an integration of the foreign-based Super Eagles and the team from the local league. And that provided a kind of a good balance for the team. We had those doing the dirty job who were fighting. Do you think the local league has a chance in bringing one or two players? You guys all came out from the local league and shone like bright lights. Is it that we can't? Or is there a fundamental flaw in the way local football is organized in this country?
That's a long conversation to have. But the truth is that football, when we played it, is different from football today. Completely different. It's the same game. And at that time, yes, you could develop your skills, your understanding, which was limited. You know, when you say understanding, that's the organization of the field of play, the patterns, the styles. We were naive in those days. We just played from instinct, and then we were guided a little bit. If you see the training that players go through now, compared to where we were playing, we didn't do anything. So it has become so highly technical. What players are made to go through from a young age, their training skills, the techniques, the tactics, all of those things, they have taken it to another level. So you need to progress to that level. What our local league is doing is not taking us there yet. We are involved with taking players to Europe. And you find out when you get to Europe, our boys can play. They can play. Pass the ball, move the ball. But then, you see, understanding the game and doing certain basic things that others can do out there in Europe, they lack. So that's the big difference. And when you look at our boys, after a few years in Europe, and then they come back, they are slightly ahead in terms of ability, in terms of knowledge, understanding teamwork and movements and so on, than our local league. Our local league is not producing players that are ready to join with players that are in Europe.
Well, but if you look
they are not ready.
2013.
They still play well, but they are just not there yet.
2013, just a few years ago, Keshi integrated. Yeah. Of course, you had the big boys, and then you had the local boys, and they delivered. Is it that we can't? Because you bring
No,
all
we
this,
can.
we have these teams coming from Lesotho, coming from Benin Republic with their home base, beating our so-called in quotes superstars.
Our old coaches, we say, na 11-11.
Okay. So,
But
because
no,
what we keep saying
you
is,
see,
why can't we find a synergy, even if it's two?
I don't know. The players are there, but as I said, you know, it is about quality. It is about quality. We are not producing the JJs, the Kanus, you know,
The
the
Odegbamis.
Wosus. We are not producing those truly outstanding players,
individuals, yeah.
you know, at the rate that we were producing them before. Now we are producing a lot of players who pass the ball. They can pass, run, pass, you know. But players who can take responsibility, they can shield the ball, they can hold it, they can dribble, they can go down, they can do things. We are not producing them in the numbers that would justify what you just said. If you go to the league now, to any of our league matches, I went to watch the FA Cup final, and there were only 2 players there who were outstanding.
Okay.
Only 2 players. And even then, one of them, you know, didn't know what to do when he got to the last third of the field, you know. So that's the final of the FA Cup. It's a reflection of the quality of players that we are churning out of the domestic league. I tell you that they are just not up there yet.
Well, like
you know, we have to face that reality.
Yeah.
You will still get some that will go into the national team and do something, but they won't be outstanding.
Well,
they won't be outstanding.
It's quite interesting. They say if you pay monkey, you get monkey. But I think it is time for us to find a way, a synergy, and this is a big challenge to the Sports Commission, the Nigerian Football Federation. We need to get a synergy. But I'll quickly just wrap up and ask Chief Odegbami, does he have any message for Nigerians regarding the way sports should be run? And later we'll end it there.
Well, you know, sports, according to those who appreciate its power, can change the world. And but we have to see it, we have to know it, we have to use it to be able to achieve that huge ambition. We don't in Nigeria for now, but I pray that the next few years will open up our eyes to the reality and the power of sport to actually change this country. It can do so much for this country. We are just wasting, it's a wasting resource.
Thank you very much. It's really been a great pleasure talking with a massive legend in African and global football. But like I will always say, Margaret Thatcher in England put £200 million into the English Premier League when it was being developed. Today, they are paying over £4 billion in taxes. And it's a wake-up call to government. We need to invest in infrastructure. We need to put some money behind sports so that our young players don't run away. I say thank you again. Join us next time on M4S for a beautiful interview with great minds like you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great pleasure.